You are listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast.
What is going down? This is your boy, Studio MacGyver, and you are listening to Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. Today is a very special episode, guys. It's a bonus podcast for you guys, episode 90. And when I say bonus, I do mean bonus because this podcast is going to be 2 fucking hours long. So strap in, get comfortable. It's going to be a nice long ride. And basically, this episode is here because I am actually going to be a guest on somebody's podcast. He goes by the name of WNDRSOUL. Excellent guy. He has a dope ass podcast. He's an even better person. I've had a couple opportunities to sit down and chat with him for hours, actually. And you guys might be hearing from him on my podcast going forward for quite some time. So be looking out for him as a guest on my podcast, hopefully, once a month, maybe, that's what we actually talked about. But this podcast that you're about to listen to is us talking about a lot of different things, man. We're talking about Dragon Ball. We're talking about the Dragon Ball, Super movie coming up. We're talking about gaming. We're talking about the politics of gaming. We're picking each other's brains on all of these things. And I thought it would be a nice introduction for you guys to get listen to him and his views on some of the things that I've spoken about on my podcast and so on and so forth. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to back my ass up out of here and let you guys get to the podcast. So thanks everybody for listening and much love to you all.
All right, man. Hey, man, what's up?
Chilling, man.
Doing?
Chilling, man. Feels good to be here. Just want to get into some gangster shit, man.
Yeah, man. I was so excited when I reached out to you and you wanted to do this, and not the fact that because I reached out to you and I just was not expecting any kind of response. Not like that you wouldn't do that, but more of like, oh, dude, I don't really even know what we will like really talk about. Like I have this idea, and when you responded and you were just like, yo, 3 words, let's do this. I was like, I got so amped, man. I got so excited because I've really been a fan of your stuff, man. I mean, I remember I just randomly was like, I wonder if there's any Dragon Ball podcast out there. Let me see. Oh, yeah. And I looked it up. And sure enough, I came across yours, and I was like, Dragon Ball and video games? Dude.
Yes, sir.
That's what I like. So, yo, man, but welcome. I'm this is going to be kind of a unique project because, well, you're going to have this episode, I'm going to have this episode, but I thought, like, that would be a really cool thing to do. And I guess what we could start off this episode doing is kind of introducing ourselves to our other listeners. So if you want to go first, and then I'll come in right after you, if that's cool.
Yeah, sure. What do you want to know, sir?
Well, let's see. Well, tell like the listeners of my podcast, like, what Studio MacGyver Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast, what's that all about? Like, what do you usually talk about? I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I know it goes deeper than that. So if you would like to give those listeners kind of like a brief summary on your podcast.
Yeah, man. No problem. Studio MacGyver, first the name came from a show back in the day called MacGyver, and it was about a guy who basically got himself in fucked up situations and had to get himself out of them with little to no resources. So that kind of stuck to me because I had a computer and I wanted to do all these things. I wanted to make my own music. I wanted to record and figure out how all this stuff worked, podcasting and everything of that nature. So I just practiced a lot, studied a lot, and figured it out how to do everything myself because I didn't like depending on a lot of people for the shit that I did. So I found myself learning all these things and it worked out for me in a great way because now I do everything myself. I record my own music. And if you listen to my podcast, the music at the beginning and the end, even my YouTube videos and stuff, all the music you hear is music that I've composed myself, and all the editing and everything I did myself. And it's just stuff that, that's why, hence the name MacGyver. So somebody with limited resources getting in there and then figuring out, how to do everything yourself and then becoming good at it. So that's the name. Now, as far as the podcast and everything is concerned, I just have a deep admiration for anime and video games since I was a kid. Video games as a young kid, all the way up till now, and that'll never change. And as far as anime, I got bit basically with the anime bug, probably in high school, and Dragon Ball was what that was. I didn't know what the fuck I was watching at first. All I knew is that it was just awesome, and I couldn't stop watching it, man. And I've been a lover of anime ever since. I guess you can call that popping my anime cherry, if you will. So
right.
That's pretty much what got me started, man.
Nice, yeah, dude. I mean, it was early on for me too, man. I mean, just going back to like how I got into like anime and Dragon Ball and stuff real quick. It was about fourth grade when I moved down here to Alabama. I had two friends, Sean and Stanley, and they just like, I don't even remember how they introduced me to the show, but I somehow got into it and they were watching it.
Yeah.
And it just became this like ritual, like after school, run home from the school bus, go turn on Cartoon Network and check out Toonami and just like watch those half an hour shows that were just awesome. I mean, we would just like really get into it because I feel like back then, early 2000s, Dragon Ball stuff was kind of just then kind of getting out there for everybody to really indulge in. And this is like right around the time that Pokemon came out. So like a lot of Eastern culture was really coming through to the United States and influencing a lot of my childhood. And but I've loved Dragon Ball ever since. From Dragon Ball, it brought me into like really anything that was on Toonami back then, and even up to today. I still catch it every now and then. I think it's only on Saturday night, but I'll still watch it. And
there's a lot of dope shit.
Oh man, it's just like if it wasn't for Toonami, I don't know if I would have ever got into anime, like at least at that age, because they're just so accessible. Like for just being on Cartoon Network. I'm a kid, but so that's really how I got into that. And then like we both have a passion and interest in video games and stuff, and like the whole podcasting thing. I listen to Joe Rogan, and not just Joe Rogan. There's some guys like Double Toasted, the Weekly. I think it's the Weekly Planet. Yeah, and just like a handful. It really just like opened like my eyes to like this whole new world of entertainment, and just there's a lot of awesome people out there that do that kind of content that for me it's just great because I like to multitask. Like I like to enjoy and watch something like a episode of Dragon Ball, right? But I also like to like work on something and then also have like a conversation going on, or just hear some something coming. It could be music, right? But so like you, I kind of just like self-taught myself because I didn't really know anybody else around me, to learn from or ask these kind of questions. And started WNDRSOUL, and it's kind of a mixed bag of treats. I mean,
it's nice, bro. It is.
Yeah, thank you.
I really enjoy it, and I also enjoy the diversity of your your picks, your thumbnails, if you will. Every one of them is different, and it's basically surrounding the topic of discussion. So whatever the episode is basically going to be talking about, you have a dope ass picture about that. I mean, I've seen some really cool ones, man. The Dragon Ball, the Goku one, and then the one I talked to you about before, which was the kid sitting on the chair at the table, man, with the old school, with the Nintendo and shit. That was awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Yeah, it was just something like, you got to make yourself pop, and I kind of take draw some inspiration and influences from like musicians and mixtapes and different things where you would always get like a cool album cover. And I just thought, hey, that'd be a cool thing to do, is to mess around with that. And
Also also the background music too, man. That's something different. Like I listen to a few podcasts and that's something I've never heard, which is also cool. You know what I mean? I almost stole that shit, but I was like, no, I've been doing this, this way so long, whatever. Because you hear and see a lot of dope shit from other people, and sometimes you got to catch yourself, because I'm like, well, no, that's their thing. I want to kind of let him do that. Now, ideas is one thing, but how somebody does their thing, I think that's your uniqueness, and that should be yours, man. So
well, no, man, I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I think that sometimes imitation is like the highest form of flattery, because I mean, like in the beginning of your podcast, when you have like that robotic voice, it's Studio MacGyver's, I like that, man. So I kind of was like, I do need something other than me. So I kind of did pull from that, and I would get on this like text to speech website and I was just like, let me just like have like almost like Tony Stark has his robotic friend, or something like that. I was like, all right, let me bring something on that kind of adds like this. I don't know, like almost like I have an AI buddy that's in the podcast that kind of can sometimes like introduce the show and kind of even like talk about other things. So I'll admit it here on this episode. Like I got that from you. So
that's cool. I mean, I don't use that every episode. It's kind of like, if I'm feeling this type of way today, I'll use it, and sometimes I won't. As of late though, I haven't been using it too often. I think I've used it, in the last month, maybe once or twice, if that. But yeah, man, definitely just something to try to change up a little bit here and there. And you learn as you go in podcasting, man. This is my second year. It'll be 2 years in January of podcast. Yeah. And like I talked to you before and earlier about the first podcast opposed to, what it sounds like now. If you go back and find my first few podcasts, man, the sound quality compared to what it is now is like fucking night and day. But that's just going and learning and everything like that. And you're pushing out, 2 to 3 podcasts a fucking week, and that's fucking dope.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? And I like to see shit like, man, I like to see it. I mean, I like to see other people out here in these streets, putting in work, man, and doing what they love doing, because to me, man, it's so, what's the word for it? It's gratifying, but it's also, it's kind of a stress reliever for me. I mean, just to talk about the things that you like to talk about. And then I listen to my shit too. I mean, I'll put it out on a Monday, usually on Mondays, and then I'll download it that night or that morning, and I'll drive and I'll just listen to myself, man, and critique myself. And sometimes I get a kick of how awesome this shit is. I'm like, yo, this is me, talking to the world. And then I talked about this earlier with you about how, I thought it wasn't going to be shit. I thought that, maybe a couple people might listen to me or whatever, but then it turns out that I have like fans all over the fucking world. And then, when you get, comments and emails from some of these people, man, it blows your mind, and it just gives you that strength to keep going, bro.
Oh, definitely. It's awesome to get that kind of feedback and to make that kind of connection, like through like a platform like podcasting. And I mean, I think like that's kind of like the challenge throughout doing anything creative, is you just never know. You always have these self-doubts, like, you know what you indulge in and what you enjoy, but it's like there's this disconnection, right? You think like, oh, well, I don't know how I could be that person, like, or how they got to where they are. But you got to start somewhere. And like you're mentioning your previous, like your early stuff, like, everybody's got to start somewhere. But like after 2 years now, almost like in January, you've
I do it with my eyes closed.
You can see that growth too,
it's a
man.
part of
like
my
the
life.
Sound. Oh man, it's amazing, man.
It's part of your life now, man. That's how it feels to me. Like it feels like I don't know how it would feel if I couldn't record. If I, you know what I mean? I have to do it. Like,
it's very therapeutic.
It is, man. It is.
Because I mean, there's a lot of like people out there voicing their opinions, telling their stories and stuff like that. And I think that's great. But I think it's something about doing it on this platform in the way that I know that you have, and I know that I am. It's kind of like, really thinking it out. Really just making sure that, is it worth talking about? Is it worth other people's time to listen? You're not talking in the sense of like, me. No, you're talking as like a fan of a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
You're speaking for a lot of people that may not, voice their opinions like that, but you're definitely, you've had a lot of topics that you've discussed on your podcast. I know you've done some YouTube videos, and you've talked about some things like in the video game world and Dragon Ball and anime, where I'm like, I just almost like start clapping, and I'm like, yo, man, thank you, somebody's saying that, because you've got a lot of these people that are on the web that you feel like, are they getting a check or something? Like, why are you giving this game this rating, but it's trash? Like, come on now. Like, but then it's like real fans like you, like me, and these listeners that are just like, yes, somebody's saying the things that I wish I could say. Like, and I applaud you for that, man, because I mean, it's not that it's like controversial. It's just like, it shows how real you are, that, hey, this is what I believe. That. Hey, man, if it's not what you think, hey, that's cool. I respect that. But hey, I'm not gonna try to lie to myself. If they're killing Gohan, they're killing Gohan.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can look at yourself in the mirror all night long like Lionel Richie, but it's not gonna change anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the truth is there. I mean, and this just goes for everything, bro. I mean, there's no right or wrong, answer to, a lot of this stuff that we talk about.
Yeah.
Because like I said, one man's trash is definitely another man's treasure. And, who am I to say that, the Nintendo Switch is not as good as the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox? Right. You know what I mean? Even though I don't own an Xbox, I own PS4 and Nintendo Switch, but I'm not going to criticize that man because he has an Xbox One, because that's just his preference, man. If he's a casual gamer or whatever he likes, I mean, that's his prerogative. We're all gamers. Yeah. That's how I need to look at it. Like, I try to look at it like that, because, we have a lot of fanboys out here in these streets, and, I've been guilty of it from time to time when I hear some people trolling on Sony or whatever. But for the most part, man, if we look at it like this, we're all gamers, baby. I mean, we all love games. I mean, no matter what, the device you play it on, and same thing with anime. I mean, I see a lot of that going on too, the Naruto versus Dragon Ball versus, whatever anime you like, My Hero Academia, whatever. I mean, it's all anime. It's all good shit, in my opinion. I mean, just because I don't like a certain show doesn't mean that, that show is not the shit to, 100,000 other people out here. So I try not to, look at it through that lens, when I'm dissecting whatever I'm dissecting.
Well, especially when you have like a platform like your podcast. I mean, like you just gotta find that good balance of like, hey, I'm gonna tell you what I like without trying to really like shit on whatever you like. It may not be for me, but you'll hear me tell you that, and then we can just move on. We can just agree to disagree. Yeah. Because, like you said, there's going to be people that just are in love with whatever it is, and hey, awesome, I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Everybody has fans, man. Everybody.
Exactly. And there's just so much out there. We are so spoiled when it comes to video games, when it comes to anime, when it comes to really everything, like kind of geeky and nerdy. Which, it's not like what it used to be like portrayed as, like in like the 80s movies, where if you're a geek or a nerd, right, you're not this dude with like broken glasses with tape on the middle, and you're not getting like, thrown into lockers or anything. No, like it's like accepted, and it's like mainstream as all get out. You got esports, I mean, anime is everywhere, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember when all this shit was fucking taboo. I mean, I remember when I was walking around high school with, the Dragon Ball, book covers, and, because I was popular, luckily, I didn't get a lot of the flack that, maybe, a Poindexter type of dude might get or whatever, walking into the hallway, but it was taboo, and people didn't understand it, man, for the most part. But now where it is now, I mean, it's amazing where it's where it's turned with full circle. I mean, now it's like if you're not cool if you don't fuck with it. It's like,
No, exactly.
you know what I mean?
Which
And
is
I'm
weird, right?
yeah,
I mean, that just like is a complete opposite flip of what we're always used to.
Yeah.
And now it's like, nah, you're cool if you like video games. You're cool if you like anime.
yeah.
You know, you're kind of like in the out now, you know, and it's not really like that, but compared to what it used to be, you know, you don't have your high school jocks. If we're going to do like that kind of like description, they're probably into Dragon Ball. You know, they're probably out there working out with like, you know, workout like Goku shirt or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really crazy now that we're older to kind of see how many people have been influenced by like video games and anime,
Yeah.
but especially like the ones like Dragon Ball. And it to me, I'm actually just kind of like still every day trying to take that in, where it's like, wow, you know, this is really weird to me, and it wasn't like this for so long, and now it just seems like, wow, the floodgates are open, and this is awesome for
Yeah.
you know,
No
people
doubt.
of all ages, you know. So
Yeah, it is bringing a lot of people together, man. And like I said, anime. A lot of people don't understand this, but especially people in the West, anime is, and everywhere else, is, Japan specifically, is so big down there. It's like another. It's nothing to them down there. To them, it's like another a sitcom or a movie. You know, they put in the same work and production in that they do in the movies and whatever else. That's just their way of life, man. So there's anime out there for everybody. I mean, there's not, when we think of anime, especially the one, a lot of us in the United States, we think of, you know, a bunch of action and all this other shit going on, blowing buildings and stuff. But to be honest with you, I mean, that's only about 20% of anime. If you put it all in a big bag.
Yeah.
The 80% of it is fucking, you know, real life type things, you know, characters that go to school and kids and stuff like that. You know, there's something out there for everybody to enjoy, and you'll see some of those. If you look hard enough, you can find a lot of those. So, I mean, there's a lot to be appreciated, man. When anime, when you talk about anime, a lot of people just don't understand or don't know the culture behind it. So, yeah, man.
Definitely. Yeah, and you know, and that was kind of like the thing growing up. Like, it was even hard to explain to parents and even to some other friends. Like, you know, well, what's Dragon Ball? Like, what do you like about that? It's like, dude, you don't understand. Like, I almost would want you to sit down and watch it, and that would be the best way to actually introduce you to it. Like, if I sit here and try to explain it to you, like sometimes anime is not the easiest thing to like pitch. Like, if we're in the elevator together,
Right.
you know, and we're going up a couple floors, I don't have that much time to tell you like, okay, so check out this show. It's about this dude who comes from another planet,
Yeah.
who's actually an alien, but he saves people and he can like change, you know, charge his power levels, and he's got these other friends that are aliens, and you know, it's like this.
It's so,
Just-
yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of like, what are you talking about, dude? So
Yeah.
it's like, well, here, let's sit down for a minute. Let me show you.
Yeah.
And see, like for me, man, like I didn't watch Dragon Ball, like a Dragon Ball for the longest time. I got
Right.
into Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a weird thing that like a couple years after getting into it, I realized like, oh, there's GT out there, and there's like, oh, there's even like a whole saga of when Goku's a kid. And I was just like, wow, I kind of like came into this whole story like in the middle of it. But
Yeah.
did you watch it in order, or did you watch it like
Actually,
where'd you pick
no.
into
The first episode of Dragon Ball that I ever saw, man, was an episode about right in the midst of Vegeta and Nappa coming down to planet Earth. So
Oh, cool,
the
cool.
G team had to, you know, prepare for it or whatever. So, you know, it came on TV at random. Like they never played it in order. You know what I mean? It came on, and I just was happy to see it. But when I was able to get access to all of it and find out everything I needed about it, that's when I turned to Dragon Ball. And man, thank God I fucking did, because, you know, like I said, a lot of this generation, they don't know anything about Dragon Ball, not for real. Like they don't
Right.
know that Tien Shinhan had his own saga. They don't know that, you know, there's some of the coolest characters that came out of fucking Dragon Ball, and then a lot of the lore as well. Like a lot of the things about the characters that people may not know, they stemmed from Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know that Tien Shinhan's the solar flare was his. He created that. They don't know that, the multiform technique, when you split your body up and you become more than one person, that's also Tien Shinhan's move. His third eye could basically duplicate whatever it saw. Like, a lot of people don't know these things. I'm saying all this shit for the listeners out there because he's one of my favorite characters. So I have a little bias towards Tien Shinhan. He's my boy. He's one of my favorites. So yeah, but there's all that stuff came from Dragon Ball, man. You had the Frieza saga, you had, the Vegeta saga, the Saiyan saga, if you will, you want to call it that. The Buu saga and all that. But there was also a Tien Shinhan saga in Dragon Ball. And it brought, the fighting was more, what's the word I'm looking for? It was more grounded. Literally more grounded.
But before they got really
strong,
powerful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was more kung fu, like martial arts.
Yeah, man. But it was so good. The choreography and the way it was written, it was some of my favorite fights are from Dragon Ball, man. They were fucking awesome. And I advise anybody who has not seen Dragon Ball to take a look at it, man. It's definitely funny. It's got some great funny moments as well. But some of the best fights, in my opinion, come from Dragon Ball.
Well, and would you say that, like, seeing Goku and a lot of those characters in Dragon Ball changes the way you would look at those characters if you hadn't seen Dragon Ball? Yeah. It's kind of like an overall arc. To, like, just see Goku in the middle of Dragon Ball Z, he's a father, he's married now, he's got all of his friends, but, like, if you go back and you watch Dragon Ball, you get to see, like, oh, that's where he met Krillin, that's when he met Master Roshi and Yamcha and Bulma and Tien and everybody.
Exactly.
In Z, you're just thrown into, like, okay, you could watch it without Dragon Ball, but man, it adds like this whole layer of depth.
Yes, sir.
And it really explains a lot of the things. So when characters die in Z, because if you haven't seen Dragon Ball, and if you have, that characters die all the time.
Yeah, man.
So.
Krillin died. He was a little kid, man, and he died in Dragon Ball. He died with his eyes open with blood coming out of his mouth.
Ooh,
I mean,
man,
like,
those shows get a little graphic too.
Yeah,
man.
that's what Dragon Ball was not playing. It was not Jeff in any streets. And people, I'm telling you, man, like, Dragon Ball was the shit, man. Some of my favorite characters from Dragon Ball, Mercenary Tao, a.k.a. Tao Pai Pai. The guy with the pink gi and on the back it said "kill you." I mean, he was not fucking around, man. You know what I mean? Man. There were some dope characters. I mean, Yajirobe used to be a beast. Yajirobe was fucking awesome in Dragon Ball. I mean, he was on Goku's level. A lot of these characters were on Goku's level before he grew up or whatever. Him, but it makes sense. Like I said, man, it's an awesome series, and if you haven't seen it, I advise you guys to check it out.
Definitely got to peep it out, because, like, I mean, there's, like, so many things, like, as we're talking about it, I'm thinking about, like, the Red Ribbon Army.
Yeah, yes, sir.
That comes from Dragon Ball. So when we get into the Androids saga in Z, that's what explains, like, this whole feud that Dr. Gero and all them had with Goku back then. So it kind of adds a little bit more to it. It's not just like this, like, random, like, dude that just hates Goku. It's like, oh, but you got to understand, like, Goku was messing up his plans, like, in that whole plan of the Red Armies back in the Dragon Ball series. So, it's something that, like, even if you started in Z, or even if you're just new to it now and you're watching just Super, right? There's probably some people there that have only seen Super. Yeah. Definitely go back and watch it from Dragon Ball and watch it all the way through. You don't have to, but I think it really makes the show better.
Yeah.
Because it adds to all these arcs that happen later on.
It's all a good watch. I mean, you won't regret. I promise you won't regret it. It's all good. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball, period, and what people don't know is that in Japan it's just Dragon Ball. It's not Dragon Ball Z or anything. It's just one Dragon, because, like you said earlier, how it's under the whole umbrella. I mean, that's what it is. It's Dragon Ball. It's from the beginning all the way up until now, which is the end of Z. Now, Dragon Ball Super is called Dragon Ball Super because it's slightly different. And I guess they just wanted a toy, and those guys over there wanted to, change it up just a little bit. But yeah, it's Dragon Ball, man. In Japan, it's just straight Dragon Ball.
Before we get into, like, things like Super, and obviously we want to talk about the Broly movie that's coming out in January, and a couple other things. Oh, did you want to bring up anything else before we get into those things?
Man. I'm just gonna say this because this is how I feel. Like,
Go for it.
we talked about Naruto and Dragon Ball earlier a little bit, just
Mm.
as comparison, but I was somebody who watched Naruto just recently, who just finished Shippuden like not too long ago. So I watched, it's basically 720 episodes
Ooh.
of pure magic, in my opinion. I mean, let me just say that. But Naruto is, I just had to give Naruto some props to me because I love Dragon Ball. Don't get it twisted, but Naruto, man, it caught me off guard, and it literally changed my life in a certain ways, man. And I'll leave it at that. Because if I get started, I could talk for days and days about it.
Oh,
But it
man,
is
go
definitely
for it.
it's an awesome series, man. And I recommend that one to anybody who has not seen it and checked it out. It threw me off at first, and that's probably why I never started it. But thank God that I did when I did. Also because it's over now. Shippuden is all the way done. Now we have Boruto, but there's so much good anime out here, man, in these anime streets. And I mean, that's just one of them. There's Berserk. I mean, there's so many, man. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's so many, bro, that I can't even begin to imagine. And I'm sure
Yeah,
there's listeners who are listening now that have some, of their own that they would, hey, please give us some recommendations. If you listen to this
yes.
podcast or whatever, you can get, we'll leave our handles, probably at the end of the show. But I would love to hear from you guys and what you guys think is something that should be seen, man, because, I'm always looking for that next big anime. And it
Oh,
doesn't
definitely.
necessarily have to be known. You know what I mean? Like universally known. Some of the best ones are some of the smaller ones, Sword Art Online. Berserk is pretty big, I guess. But it's not, the creme de la creme of, the anime out here.
Right.
But there's some good ones out here, guys. And, they don't necessarily have to be the star attractions to be good. Cause like I
Did
said,
you let me ask you this real quick because I'm
yeah.
just thinking about it. Did you ever watch Devilman Crybaby on Netflix?
I watched a little bit of it. I was looking at it when I had a lot going on. I was moving and stuff like that, and I had started it. Sometimes that happens. You'll watch something or
Yeah.
start something, and something in life will happen.
Come through.
Yeah, and then you get kind of like you get disconnected from it, and then you don't get back to it for whatever reason. So that's one I need to get back to. I know the art style and everything. It's an older anime, and I'm not one who really cares about the art style or how well it's drawn to a certain degree. As long as it's a good story and it's well written, I'll give it a try, man. But I've heard
Well,
people talk about it.
I know that you mentioned Berserk, and that's something that I recently, like this past year, I think it was over the summer, I watched one of because I know there's different versions of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, there's
So
a lot
I
of
saw the
different
more recent one, I would say, but that's why I bring up Devilman Crybaby because I think those stories or the themes in those shows are pretty identical. So I think you might enjoy that if you did enjoy Berserk. So yeah, that's why I was throwing it out there. If you hadn't, or if you had, that'd be it's pretty cool, man. It's
Yeah.
one of those ones where it's got some like really deep themes to it. It's kind of gory. It's a little almost borderline. It's a little horror because it deals with like demons and different stuff like that. But no, it's really good, man. I know
definitely,
Netflix is really pumping out
They are.
some anime.
They need to slow their brakes, though, man. They need to pump their brakes a little bit on some of the things that they're doing because one of my other favorite series, which probably right next to Berserk or right under Naruto and Dragon Ball to me was the Fate Zero and the Fate Stay Night series, man. Like those two are fucking amazing, and I guess Netflix picked up the license, the publishing on it, and they started doing some. And it's a watered down version. It's not the same. If you're a fan of Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, you instantly can see it. I'm not saying it's just bad or horrific or anything like that, but when you're used to gold, I mean, it's hard to, go to bronze, you know what I mean, after that. So
Yeah.
just be wary. I mean, but if you're a fan, give it a shot, go ahead and watch the rest of them. But man, I mean, sometimes, companies like Netflix and stuff, they think it's like I said, that guy at the top of the totem pole with that suit and tie on, and all he sees is money, and he didn't necessarily care about what fans think. They just think, oh, this will generate money, and then they push play on it, and it doesn't always end in that in that result.
Exactly, dude. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen Angry Joe or any of his videos on YouTube, but he has this character on there called Corporate Commander, who kind of has like that the dude from G.I. Joe, but he just like wears a suit and tie, and he's just out there just like, yes, we're gonna add DLC and microtransactions and all that stuff. So that's the kind of character that I see when I see some of these choices being made, especially like the ones that you just mentioned with like some of these Netflix bigwigs, But yeah, I was gonna ask you, since we are on the topic of Netflix, have you watched any of the live action Netflix anime adaptations, like the Death Note or even the Full Metal? No, do you just stay away from those?
Yeah, for the most part I do, man, because in my opinion, this is just my opinion.
Go for it.
I don't. I think that most anime should be left alone, man. I mean, as far as and mainly it revolves around the characters, because there's some characters, man, that it could be passable. You know what I mean? For human characters, if you got an anime with a lot of human characters in it, I could see somebody doing something with it. But if you got like a lot of these characters who are fictional, they're nothing like being human. They're it just doesn't make sense. Okay, like the best one I've ever seen so far, to me, in my opinion, that they've come is Ghost in the Shell. That's about it, man. Maybe because I'm also biased towards the chick, who plays as the character.
Black Widow. What's her name?
God damn it, man. I know her. I know her fucking name too.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson, man.
Yeah,
I love her. I love me some Scarlett. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me either. I should know her name. As fine as she is. But that movie was pretty good, man. It wasn't the best, but that's the closest you're probably gonna get, to doing something like that. Now, like I said, it's just my opinion. I mean, there's somebody out there who loves a lot of these, live action shows. But me personally, I think they should just be left. If they're gonna do a movie, they should do an animated movie, about these characters or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Like this Dragon Ball movie upcoming, it's gonna be awesome because it's a Dragon Ball movie. You know what I mean? And I've seen some other movies, like Naruto has like a bunch of movies. Those are awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's not all about money. You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't believe that, just watch the Dragon Ball, the live action Dragon Ball movie, the one that's out there in these streets, and then go look at yourself in the mirror and tell me that you don't see tears falling on your face. I'm telling you right now, man. That shit is a coaster. It's a fucking ashtray. That's what it is. And
that's it.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm so hesitant on, I love Dragon Ball, and it's so, I love it. And I don't want to see anybody fuck it up anymore. You know what I mean? It's not worth the gamble for me.
When did you see that Dragon Ball Evolution movie?
Did you see
it in theaters or did you?
No, I saw it. I saw it when it first hit DVD.
Oh no!
I saw
Were
it.
you anyways kind of hyped about it?
Yeah, because I didn't see it at the movies because I didn't want to see it at the movies because the previews what I saw, I was like, no, this is not. You know what I'm saying? So I said I'll wait for it to come out, and all my friends were like, man, don't do it, and I did it, and that's I can't get that time back. I can never get that back.
It's there, and all those images are.
Yeah, man.
Imprinted on your mind now.
It's terrible.
It's pretty bad, man. It really is. And I bought it on Blu-ray. I got the Z edition, and it's just like a good clean the palate. Whenever you watch a movie and you go, that movie sucks, watch Dragon Ball Evolution, and then you'll be like, it wasn't actually that bad, I guess. But so when we're talking about like, I like your idea of like taking, instead of like doing live action with some of these movies, or not doing live action with some of these animes into a movie. Let me pitch this to you. So instead of doing live action Dragon Ball, right? Mm-hmm. And even instead of like doing a movie like they're doing right now with like the Dragon Ball Super, the Broly movie, how would you have felt if they hit you with like some like different art style? Like what if they even went into like a Pixar kind of CGI vibe?
Okay, that might be cool.
I was thinking about that. I was like, That'd be cool. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't. It'd be believable because you would have not believable, but it wouldn't be live action, so you wouldn't have to
Right.
fight with that kind of or go through those obstacles. But then you would
Right.
have like a different style.
Right.
So you would have almost like that Pixar. So when I say that, I think like of The Incredibles, kind of like that art
Yeah,
style
that would
and
be
that kind of
dope.
look.
Yeah, that
But
would be
then you would
dope.
have like a good, fresh way of like introducing these characters to audiences that never have messed with them, because that's one of the things that I hear a lot of complaints when you have things like Death Note, right? Like I
Yeah.
haven't watched Death Note, I haven't read the manga, and I haven't seen the Netflix show. A lot of people say like, "Oh, dude, they just Americanized the shit out of that."
Yeah,
And so, like, do you do that? Like, you find yourself either that's going to happen, or they just try to mimic things to a point where it just doesn't translate on
yes,
screen.
because you have it's all about the politics, man, and I cannot stand politics in because it's in everything we do. It's in everything we consume. Because I mean, at the end, if you look behind the curtain, you peek behind the curtain. There's that little man with with one leg,
Yeah.
with melted skin, making fucked up decisions. I mean,
Yeah, true.
it's just terrible, bro. And that's where it comes down to it, because when you take a license something that's very popular, and you try to put it in front of put real people behind it, there's going to be other people making decisions that don't know what the fuck they're talking about or doing, and because they have the money and because they're the ones who are quote unquote funding this thing or whatever, it's kind of like they Jerry Jones it. I mean, they fucking say, well, I got this stake in there, that stake, so I'm gonna want it to do this or that way, even they don't know shit about what they're talking about. And that's what ends up happening. You got a whole bunch of yes men who are just happy to be a part of the, just have money or have a job. And,
Yeah.
they yes it all the way down to no street. And then it becomes a debacle. And that's really what it is. Gaming is the same thing, man. I mean, you got all these companies, like Disney and all these companies, man, and they've got rights to certain characters, and we can't do X-Men because we own the right. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And they're not no one's thinking about the fans. They're just thinking about how can their pockets get fatter and wider, and that's it. And then in the end, they keep playing with people's emotions. What's going to end up happening is they're going to get EA'd. People are going to stop.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, because the people have the power. That's what a lot of us don't realize out here in these video game streets, these anime streets. We are the ones who hold the fucking key. You know what I mean? If you fuck over
Yeah.
one too many of that said anime fan or gamer, I mean, shit can get real. It can go from sugar to shit real quick. And I'm telling you right now, bro, we've seen it. We've seen it with EA. We've seen it with, Fallout 76.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've seen it with the Star Wars game. I mean, yeah, man, it's real. And I love that part of it. I mean, and we keep them on their toes. So, yeah.
Yeah, that definitely was a big deal when Battlefront came out, Star Wars Battlefront. And
Yeah, yeah.
they had all these heroes and characters, like you had to like basically fork out some money, and you already have a fan base. I mean, you have a huge like Star Wars fans are loyal. They're
Yeah.
just so intense, and I mean, they're just so excited to get whatever they've been getting. But then you have like so many different like genres of Star Wars fans, I guess. Like, so you have the ones that watched the originals and now are like adults and grew up and watched the prequels, and we're like, I don't know about that. Then there's me, like, where I watched the originals, but then I grew up with the prequels, so I'm kind of more fond to them.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of like my generation's,
Right.
That's how it felt to me.
Right.
But then and now you have these new ones from Disney, but you pretty much have like you're gonna make money. You already have a fan base. You just got to make a good product, and then they fucked it
That's
up.
the thing. That's the problem. Yeah, they know. I mean, they're gonna make money, bro. I mean, and I've been guilty of anything Dragon Ball. I'm scooping it up, whether it's good, bad. And you're basically buying it and crossing your fingers. You know what I mean? Because you're a fan, and you can't resist it. But you got the fans who are fans and that are like, okay, but yeah, I'm drawing a line in the sand right here. I'm not going out like this. And you get enough of those people behind you, and next thing you know, you're forcing these developers and their bosses and a lot of that to change the way they do it. Because I think personally, it's not really the developers all at fault in all of these things. It's their bosses. They have somebody to answer to. That's the guys with the suit and tie and the money in their hands, the bags of money. And those are the guys that say, the yes or no. Because, sometimes, the director or the, developer doesn't have all of the control. You know what I mean? There's somebody they have to answer to. There's somebody who gave them the green light to make this movie or make this game. So those are the people like Disney. These are the people, you know what I mean, that are making a lot of these decisions, or that wouldn't let us have X-Men, you know what I mean, on some of these titles because they had the rights to them. Same thing that they're not in the Marvel universe because they have the rights to them, and if they don't get said amount of dollars, we're not gonna get access to them. So who's the ones who get hurt in this whole thing? X-Men fans. They're the ones who are going to suffer, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of diehard X-Men fans out here. So that's my point. You know what I mean? So we have to unite, and we have to, stand together when it comes to certain things that we know is not right, and fix. Same thing with Nintendo. I mean, I'm a Switch owner, and their online situation is is trash. I mean, if you ask me, it's not.
To be blunt,
man, it's not. They have work to be. There's work to be done. There's work to be done with the way that they communicate with, through the app on their phone. That's whack. Nobody wants that. We want native voice chat. We want dedicated servers. There's a lot of things that we should be able to do. We want the virtual console. We don't want NES games, Nintendo games that anybody can fucking download. My 5-year-old could download all those games from on his tablet if he wanted to right now and play them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We don't want, digital boo-boo. And that's exactly what right now Nintendo's giving us with the online thing. Yeah, it's only $20, okay. But god damn it, man. I mean, give us something. Now maybe they have some up their sleeve, and I'm trying to be patient. They do have some things, well, a lot of things going from other than the online thing, but I'm not participating in that online shit, man. Not until they get it together. I'll stick to my single player games or my multiplayer games with family and friends. That's what I'm going to do until they fix all this. So hopefully they listen, because Nintendo has those old, those old Japanese guys with the suit and ties, man, drinking lots and lots of fucking sake and smoking scrolls in the boardrooms and making these bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? And until they that changes, man, that's where we're gonna be.
Well, man, because all those points are like 110,000% correct, man. And you know what drives me wild is like, Nintendo, you already have examples of how to do the damn thing, and you already had enough time where you didn't have your online service right out the gate. You gave everybody like, hey, you guys can like play on like Splatoon and stuff like that for free. We're working on an online service. It's gonna, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then okay, it's been over a year. You drop this on everybody's lap, and it's not even close to what it needs to be.
Yep.
You're just kind of like thinking to yourself, like, you have Sony, you have Microsoft, you have other anybody on PC, you have all these examples. Are you just trying to be different, or what's up? Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's why you call it being stuck in their ways. When you get to a certain age in life, I mean, you become what you become. There's really no going back. There's no retribution. You just are who you are. And I think that's what's going on with Nintendo right now. They think that, the decisions that they made and put in the sand are going to stay there and eventually grow, no matter how it doesn't and how much time passes. They just can't see past that. And I think that's part of the problem. They're out of sync with the fans. They're not all the way there. And the same thing with, companies like, Bethesda with, Fallout 76, man. These guys are coasting off of the name. They know they have the name, so they can coast off of it. And Nintendo is going to, you say Nintendo in a female's ear, man, she's going to come. Because it's true. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just what it is. The name, they're riding off of the name, and it's getting to the point where people are starting to notice, look, that's not enough. And Fallout 76 has had the same IP, the same fucking engine since the fucking PS3 and Xbox days. You know what I mean? So I don't know, they're getting roasted right now. Right now they're getting, raped over the coals, and it's just becoming a bigger and bigger snowball going downhill. And sooner or later, man, if they don't change, somebody's going to change it for them. So they better get their shit right.
Yeah, because I've been watching people stream it, and it looks pretty boring.
It is very, very much.
The graphics and everything do not look pleasing to the eye. I mean, it just seems like, come on, guys. Like, you you've had a winning streak for a while now. You've actually been making some like really good games and products. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
why slip up now? Like, what was the rush to put something like this out? And you have to have the common sense and the knowledge or the intelligence to know that you're about to put out a product that's just not even worthy to be out there on the shelves, and you've made better. So like you've already set your own bar, and now you're falling way below it. And people are just gonna get it because it's Fallout, and they're gonna try to convince themselves like, I'm having a good time, I like this, I love Fallout. And it's like, and if you do, I'm happy for you, like,
Yeah.
good for you, like.
Yeah.
But let's be honest with ourselves. Is this what you expect? I mean, for a $60 game,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
I mean, come on now. I mean, so many people are having so much fun and spending so much time playing free games,
Yeah.
free to play games, that it's just like, when you give me a game and tell me it's $60, I expect the world now. And that's
Exactly.
not their fault. It's just like how the market and games have gone now, because it's just harder now. You expect more from a game that's full price. I mean, it was already
Yeah.
kind of like all right, I gotta really want this game. I don't just make spur of the moment, I'm gonna go buy this $60 game. Like, no,
Right.
it's either gonna be on sale.
Yeah.
I either have to be a huge fan of the series
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And I just knew of so many people like pre-ordering Fallout 76 because of things like a E3 and stuff, and it's like, yo, hey man, it's an online only game. Like,
There
the
you go. You
servers
hit
are going to be
there you go.
trash.
There you go. You hit the nail on the fucking coffin. Okay, it's a game on borrowed time. Anyway, even if it was the best, very fucking best game in the world, and held supreme over all fucking games, it would still be on borrowed time. Because why? It's an online only game. The servers are only going to last for so long. So, if you're a retro gamer like me too, who likes to play a lot of older games, you're not going to be able to play it anymore at one day. That it's going to become a beer coaster, and that's all it's going to be. Now I understand that, if it's a great game, okay, you might get you good 4 or 5 years off the server, but we're technically on the tail end of this console's life cycle. So I'm a person who believes that if I'm gonna pay for a game, I'm gonna want to be able to play whenever I want to. I don't care if it's 10 years from now. I want to play it.
Yeah.
And that's why I have an issue with games that are just online only, because if there's no story, if there's nothing else to play through it, I mean, it's on borrowed time. It's that simple, man.
Yeah, and especially with something like Fallout 76, like, it became one of those things, like with the friends that I play with a lot. It was like, unless everybody is all gonna grab this game so we could play this online game together, I'm not gonna just like pick it up for myself and just go out there and
Right.
deal with like trolls or just different
Yeah.
people out there. A lot of online games are better because, well, yeah, you're gonna meet other gamers, you're gonna meet other people on there, and that's awesome.
Right.
But it's also like to get your friends you already have and go, hey, let's go and run this together. Whether it's
Exactly.
PvP, whether it's PvE, whatever it is, whatever kind of game. Online games are meant for you to play with other people. So like it kind of came down to, it's like, okay, nobody I know is really going to get Fallout. There's no rush. I'll wait and see what real fans of this say after they play it. And I mean, it kind of came out the way I thought it was. Like, there were server issues logging in. It just didn't appear like people were actually having a really good time. It just didn't feel like a next game. It just felt like a copy and paste. Oh,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
was, bro.
online. There
Oh
you
my
go.
God, yes, bro. It was simply a copy and paste job. It was Fallout 4 with some, bells and whistles added to it. I mean, that's what it was. I loved Fallout
Yeah.
4. I played it. I bought
Me
it.
too.
But this is a new IP for them. This is something new. They have never done an online game before. The proof is in the pudding. The writing is on the wall. All these issues that's going on, they put out a fucking newsletter letting everybody know that all kinds of shit is going to be wrong with this game. Now, I mean, if you guys knew this, why the fuck didn't you put more money into your testers, and working out all the kinks? Now, I'll tell you what they did do, which they shouldn't have done. I'm watching football on TV, and the announcers are calling plays, and the next thing I know, I hear one of the announcers say, "Hey, get ready for Fallout 76." Da 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 da. He's throwing out a promotion. And I'm like, and my light bulb went on in my fucking head. I said, oh, I see what the fuck they did. I see what they fucking did, Bethesda. What they did was they put all their fucking money into the marketing of this product. They didn't put any of it. They skimmed on the production of it. Because like I said before, they were going off of the name. They were riding off of their name only and thinking that, oh, it's a Fallout game. They're going to jump on it. All we got to do is push the agenda. And that's where all their money went. They're paying all these commercials and all these people. That's where their money went. When it should have went into the production of a new IP, when it should have went into production of getting, hiring more game testers and all of these things and fixing these kinks now. Because a game so close to release with all these bugs and shit, they felt they had to put that press release out because they knew that they fucked themselves. And they thought we were going to eat it like hot porridge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. And that's why I can't fuck with Bethesda on this. And the thing that is even worse than all of this is the fact that Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls game, they've already stated that they're going to be using this same fucking engine. Yes. No. The same IP. So if you guys are excited about Elder Scrolls in the future and all these other, I would pump the brakes.
And we're just like, I mean, like we both just said, like, I like the company. I like the games that they usually put out. This isn't us just like being haters. It's just like, we have an expectation for what kind of quality and content that you guys deliver to us. Because if we're going to give you our hard-earned money, we better be getting your hard-earned or your hard effort, your hard work. Like, it needs to show. And you know what, man? As we record this, it's like middle of November. I mean, why else would they release this like it is? Well, you got Black Friday coming up. You got the holidays coming up. Let's get this game out before Christmas so that everybody's rolling out. Like a week or so from now, people are going to be going after the Thanksgiving, and their kids are going to be like, hey, Billy's got Fallout 76. I want to play with him. I mean, and they're going to go and throw them money, and they're going to make money from it. And that's like kind of the weird thing that we have in entertainment, and especially when we talk about like these head honchos, these business types. It's kind of like the Venom movie. It's like the name alone, no matter how good or bad it is, will still make money. So Fallout 76 is still going to make money because it has a lot of things actually working in its favor. Well, it's been a dry summer for games, in my opinion. So people have been really hoping to get something new, like Red Dead came out. You got other games that come out around this time because of the holidays. But now you have Black Friday and Christmas, and people are going to go shopping, and kids and adults alike. Everybody's going to be like looking for something to get for, their boyfriend or girlfriend or for whoever. And Fallout is a brand. It's a name. And so maybe somebody doesn't know what somebody likes, and they'll just go, how's this Fallout game? Oh, well, Fallout's a pretty successful series, blah, 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 blah. All right, I'll just get that. So then it's just like, they're going to make money. But if you're like me and you and most of our listeners, like, you're educated and really passionate about games and all this kind of stuff that we're talking about, what should be being delivered to us and what is not. And that's why, like you said earlier, and I agree 100% with, is that we have more power and control over like what they do than what we do, or what they think that they can get us to do. You can't just throw out a game like that and expect me to just not ask questions. And that's why I was going to ask you a good question, man. Now, how often do you, because I kind of said my spiel, but how often do you really listen to like reviews? Like when a new game or movie or something comes out, like Rotten Tomatoes, IGN and stuff, do you just like check them out just to kind of see what the word on the street is? Yeah,
I to kind of get a gauge of it. Well, typically that's how I do it. But if I have my eye on a specific on a certain title, I'll do my digging, on gameplay and things of that nature. And then, I'll definitely listen to what people have to say. And if it's something I really want to buy and find out for myself, I'll do that. And there's all other times where I'll just go to a Redbox and I'll, like God of War. This is crazy. God of War, it was almost so good. People were saying it was so good that I thought, man, it's almost too fucking perfect. Everybody's saying this shit is good. Right. So I said, hold on, I'm not going to buy it first. I'm going to go to Redbox. I went to Redbox at 11:50 and stayed there until 12:01, and then it spit the game out. And I took it home and I played it for like 3 or 4 days. And I said, I'm going to go pick this fucking game up. And that's what I did. I turned it back in and I was like, I understand now. It's different for different titles, but for the most part, yeah, man, I listen to reviews but I don't go off of their, everything, but it's easy. It's kind of easy to tell if you got 10 people and 8 of those 10 people say, man, this shit is trash. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, well, 8 times out of 10, bro, it's probably trash. And, that's Fallout 76. It's a fucking meme. Now, yes, the game consumers who are just casual, I'm sure they'll pick up this game not knowing what's going on and everything, and they'll learn the hard way. But hey, at least they got them a $65, coaster, for the future. Or ashtray. So, I mean, if anything, worse comes to worse, that you have that. You have a Fallout 76 coaster, beer coaster or ashtray. So, congratulations, you played yourself.
Damn. Well, let me ask you this, dude, because this is something I've thought about when it comes to reviews and stuff. Like, so Dragon Ball Fighters or Fighter Z. I know there's like a debate off of like how that's actually called or what.
Dragon Ball Fighters. Yeah.
See, that's what I thought. Would you listen to someone at IGN who just plays games and goes, yeah, I got selected to review this game. Yeah, it's pretty good. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Or would you rather go and find someone or listen to someone who's like a Dragon Ball fan, a fighting game fan? Like, I feel like sometimes, because both of us can speak for this, like, I like games, but do I like every game? And is every game for me? No. So if it was my job to review games and I knew I was reviewing a game that I don't like these kind of games, but it's my job, let me just type something up. I actually didn't really like it, so I kind of feel like whenever you are going through reviews, especially if it's like a name like Dragon Ball or Fallout or something, like go find sources out there that are honest, true fans of that series. Yeah. And listen to them. Yeah. And if they're honest, you're gonna hear from a Fallout fan like, hey, you guys know me. I'm a huge Fallout fan. Yeah. 76 doesn't really live up to par. But don't find that person who just like is delusional, where they're like, it doesn't matter if Fallout 76 was like, I opened the case and there was a turd in there, I'd be like, dude, go get it. Go get the super deluxe edition. Who cares? It's Fallout. We love Fallout here.
It goes both ways, actually, if you look at it like that, because you could also hinder, the fans could also hinder the actual, truth behind the game if they are diehard fans too. Because you could say, well, I love Dragon Ball so much, I'm going to buy it. I stated it earlier. I'm going to buy everything Dragon Ball, no matter how good or how bad it is, because I love Dragon Ball. And is it necessarily a good game? No. There was a couple games, that were like Xenoverse. It was good, but it was a mediocre game, and it was a mediocre because there was lots of different things. The net code, is definitely is something to be desired. You know what I mean? I've got videos out there on my channel that would break that down, but as a fan of the series, I bought it, and if they came out with Xenoverse 3, guess what? I'm probably going to buy that too. So, yeah, it could be a gift and a curse. So you could look at it both ways. And if you had a reviewer reviewing it, and he wasn't necessarily an anime fan, and he was reviewing a Dragon Ball game, it almost is more honest. You could look at it that way too, because he's if it's fun to him, hey, I'm not really a fan, but it's fun to me. But then it could, like you said, it could also be the other way. If he's not a fan of this type of genre, and he matter of fact, if he doesn't like this genre at all, but he's got to review it, then yeah, that could definitely fuck it up. But it just depends on how they operate, because I don't know how they, I would hope that they would not put somebody who hated a genre on a genre that they hated.
Yeah, me too. I don't know how that system works. But see, like someone like you who I feel is honest, like, yeah, you might buy that Dragon Ball game, but you will still like voice your opinion. Like, I bought it. there's an
True.
extra level or layer of fun for me because I'm a fan, but
Right.
this isn't for everyone. It's kind of like if the Marvel Spider-Man game that came out on PlayStation 4 wasn't really that good, but if you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll
Yeah.
get more out of it because there's
Right.
Easter eggs, there's like
Yeah.
different references, and
True.
just like seeing the mechanics of Spider-Man swinging through New York. So
Yeah.
I think that's where it becomes like, don't just stick to one source. Because I have like this like
Oh,
thing
yeah.
with
I
my
agree
friend.
with you on that.
Like they'll go on Rotten Tomatoes, or they won't even go on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just like, hey man, it's got a 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's go see it. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
what?
Yeah. I feel you. I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
You're
it's
saying
like,
that. Yeah, you want to. I would. Yeah, you're right. Now this is what I do. I don't just listen to one person reviewer. I'm going to every fucking game outlet there is. I usually look at 5 to 6 different game reviewers. Plus, there's a lot of YouTubers that I follow and that review these games. I listen to all of them, what they say first too, before I make a decision on do I want it or not. And yeah, you can't just trust your first, your first one. You got to get a second, third, fourth opinion on it, because sometimes that's all we have to gauge. What it is. We think we might like a certain game, and there may not be enough video out on it or whatever. But nowadays, this is what I love about today's society and everything is we're spoiled in the sense that we can find what we need to find to where we can make a just decision for the most part. If there's a game that we want to buy or anime we want to look at, there's videos. There's probably hundreds of different videos on said subject that we could go and reference before we make our decision. You know what I mean? We can probably get 100 reviews. There's probably 100 people reviewing this, movie-wise or gaming or whatever, and before we make a decision. And that's typically what I do. I look at about 5 or 6 different ones, and if they're all pretty much around the same ballpark or whatever, I'll take that leap.
yeah, definitely. Because you don't want to miss out on something because of somebody else's opinion. I've always felt like,
Right.
what like you said, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So
Yeah.
like you got to be careful with that. But it's like if you go on Metacritic right now, Fallout 76 has like a user review of like 2.8. I mean, they're trashing it, man. They're trashing. They're beating it to the ground.
Deservedly so. Fuck
But
you,
then
Bethesda.
you got something like Rotten Tomatoes, where I don't think a lot of people know. Like if there's a movie that's like 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, that doesn't mean, like, we think of like school, and it's like when you got a 90 on a test, like that's good, right? You got an A, you passed. 90% just means that 90% of people thought it was like above, I think it's like a 60. So like it's kind of like a collective
Yeah.
number. It's not like, yo, this movie out of 100 is 90. No, it just means that 90% of critics or people who reviewed it thought it was good. Now they could have 90% of them could have all said it was like a D. Let's just use like a letter grade. But
Yeah.
because like 90% of them agreed to it, then like you'll see the trailers and the commercials where it's like, oh, Venom 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is like, and people are just like, oh, you see that, honey? It's 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. We need to go see it. It should be good. It's like, you don't, just like do a little bit more research, because you have the resources.
Yeah.
And like you just said, like there's so many ways, either articles, podcasts, YouTubers, anything. And just make sure to kind of like look into it, because you just don't want to, just take one person's opinion for it. Because I know that you could probably agree to this. Like there are going to be those YouTubers or reviewers out there that you just go, yo, me and this person, we usually sync up. Like every now and then they say something, I'm like, I don't really agree with that. But most of the time you find those out there that you go, yeah, we generally have the same opinion on things, so I can trust them. So if they say it's trash, it's probably trash. So
And then sometimes, some games you don't need to do that. That's only if you're on the cusp on the decision if you want to make. But a lot of games that I choose, I already know I want it, before it even comes out. Like there's certain games like Resident Evil 2, the remake, that's paid for, that's bought. You know what I mean? When The Last Guardian came out and was announced, that was paid for, that was bought. There's certain games, you just know. Anthem, that's bought, that's paid for. Like games like that, you just know. Now there's certain ones that, you're on the fence about and you don't know if you should or not. Yeah, then that's pretty much what we're talking about now. But I mean, potato, man. Whatever one you choose, it's in the end, it's all about, that said person being happy with
Yeah.
his or her, purchase. And that's all that matters, man. I mean, there could be somebody out there right now, literally, who's playing a video game called Johnny Sausage Head Adventures, and he's playing it every fucking night and loving it. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably the wackest game on the planet. But hey, if one person out here in these video game streets feels this way about this game, hey, it's bringing him or her joy, so fucking be it, man.
Yeah, true. I guess it's just like I stay cautious because I think that we also live in this weird troll like society where things that are really bad people tend to like admire and broadcast, like when it comes to certain kind of music, and even like when it comes to different games that are just like, this game's so bad that people are just like, hey, look, it's actually funny and good. And I know that you can do that. Like a lot of people like The Room, right? The movie The Room.
Yeah.
And it's like a bad movie, but it's so bad it's good kind of thing, like Troll 2 or something. But but then you also have like a lot of these things that get like, yo, you are like totally like, this is getting so much more clout than like something that actually deserves it, and it's kind of like, hey, just be careful with that, because then it becomes this like, people just, especially like these big wig industries, they kind of go, oh, well, we don't really have to try that hard. People will just buy anything. It doesn't really matter, so.
Yeah.
Let me, I posted something on Twitter before we did our episode today. So just because we are on the topic of like video games, and this is a response to my post from the D2K family. They're like a streamer community. I'm in their Discord server. They're really cool guys. They wanted to know yours and my thoughts on the Dragon Ball FighterZ game. And I haven't played it, to be honest. I've watched gameplay. I actually plan on renting it tomorrow.
Okay.
But did you play it, and what were your thoughts on it?
I have it, of course. I'm, like I said, I'm I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, and like I said, anything Dragon Ball, I pretty much bought it. I pretty much buy it. Matter of fact, I'm staring at a plethora of Dragon Ball figures and statues right now on my shelf. I have a Dragon Ball shelf in my man cave, and yeah, I just love Dragon Ball. So yeah, I have it, played it, love the fucking game. I still put videos out from time to time on the game. I've got a hard drive full of matches and stuff that I still haven't gotten around to doing. But yeah, I love the fucking game, man. I'm not happy with some of the DLC characters for the simple fact that I'm sure you're familiar with this, and a lot of people listening are. When it comes to certain, anime, the poster boys, if you will, of the series, they tend to, pour it on a little too thick. And what I'm saying is, you got 3 or 4 different versions of Goku, you got 2 or 3 different versions of Vegeta, and they're taking up slots. And when you're dealing with a fighting game like this, those slots are a little bit more precious because, in my opinion, they should be, reserved for other characters who we don't get to see often. There's no Master Roshi here yet, and I'm hoping that he's added sooner or later because right now,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, and Jiren is another character I want to see. But yeah, man, I mean, other than that, the game is excellent. I love it. The graphics are beautiful. It's a game I've been wanting for a long, long time. Somebody who has lots and lots of Dragon Ball games, fighting games and stuff. I wanted a 2D fighter like that, and it's here, and I'm loving it, man. So yeah, I definitely recommend Dragon Ball to any Dragon Ball fan, even if you just like Dragon Ball a little bit, or even if you like fighting games. And you want something different, then I definitely recommend this game for sure.
So is that the kind of format that you want your Dragon Ball games from now on, like a 2D like side scroller kind of vibe, or do you like the 3D open like arena kind of vibe?
Both, man. I mean, it just depends. I mean, if I had to pick one over the other, it would definitely be the 2D. Sprite based type of graphics. I just love those, like Street Fighter Third Strike is another good one. All the SNK games, the King of Fighters and stuff. But yeah, this my favorite Dragon Ball game though, honestly, is still probably gonna be Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 3. That's probably that I have lots of videos on my YouTube channel that matches and stuff like that too on there. But yeah, that's my all time favorite Dragon Ball game. I hope they do basically a reboot of that, maybe like an HD version of that eventually one day. But that had like 161 characters on it though.
Whew,
You know what I
that's
mean?
a
Yeah,
lot.
it had everybody, bro.
Wow.
It had all the variations of all the characters, all the Vegetas there were, all the Gokus there were, but plus they had every character in Dragon Ball. They had every fucking character in Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it was in even GT. I mean, the shit was crazy, bro. Love that
Dude,
fucking
man.
game. Yeah.
And this is before Super, so
Yeah, this was fucking
especially after like
PlayStation 2, bro.
the tournament,
Yeah,
tournament of
wait.
power, like we have all these extra characters from
Yeah.
all these other universes. So like,
Yeah, there's a lot of mods and stuff out there right now.
man.
But yeah, if they did that was definitely dope. It was a dope engine. Yeah, I love that fucking game.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just throw out my favorite Dragon Ball game, which I don't know if it's like common for other people. It's the one that I had the most fondest memories because it was like one of the first Dragon Ball games that I got my hands on. Yeah, it would have to be Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku on the Game Boy Advance. I don't know. Like as a kid, I was just like, oh my god, they have a Dragon Ball Z game. Oh my gosh! And I grabbed onto it, man. And I remember bringing that Joker to school. I would just spend time. My one of my best friends, Grant, he got it, and so we were like sitting side by side going through that game. It was so much fun. I mean, and I know that that's like compared to some other games, like the ones that you like the one that you just mentioned, and even Dragon Ball Fighters, like. It's not even really close to comparison, but it was just like at that time I was like, dude.
Nah,
man,
it's not. I don't look at it like that, bro. I don't look at it like that at all, man. I look at it like, to me, I don't have games that are just because it's on one system or another system makes it better than the other. To me, it's just what does it bring to you? Like, how does this game make you feel? Because there's a golfing game on the fucking Nintendo DS that I fucking adore. I could play that shit for
What's
hours.
it called, man?
You know what? I can't think of the fucking name right now, and that's what's so crazy about it. You know what I mean? It's like a generic ass golf game.
Oh shit!
And it's so good though. To me, I just love it so much. And then one of my favorite Dragon Ball games also is a RPG, and it's called Attack of the Saiyans. And it's also on the DS.
Check that out,
Yeah,
dude.
it's also on the DS, man. A lot of you guys might know what this game is. You might know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's a dope ass game. And like I said, man, games, that's the beauty of games. The beauty of games is the fact that it could be, I mean, your favorite could be on anything. It could be on a fucking phone. I mean, my girlfriend plays the shit out of us. I don't know what this game is, but every time I see her, she's playing it. And, they love cell phone games, man. Like, for real. Like, she can play that shit forever and will not get tired of it. So, I mean, whatever brings joy to you, whatever game brings joy to you, as a gamer, man, power fucking to you.
Yeah,
and,
dude. I'm glad you said that. It made me feel better about my
fuck
like see a Goku. Yeah.
Yo, it's a game and it's a Dragon Ball game, so you can't lose.
What was I gonna ask you? Before we move on, since we talked about Dragon Ball games, I guess let me go ahead and get your opinion and thoughts on Jump Force. Like, are you hyped for that? Like, what do you expect from that kind of game? From what you've seen from like the different trailers, and I think they've even had gameplay released. So where are you at with Jump Force?
I'm excited about Jump Force. I'm excited to see the roster. I really want to know what this roster is. I'll probably be picking this one up because I have J-Stars, and which was basically like the one before this on PlayStation 3.
I remember seeing that.
And they re-released it. Yeah, they re-released it for the PS4, and it was a dope game. I had lots of fun playing it. It's just basically like a 3D, a 3D Japanese Smash Brothers. I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, it's all these different characters from different anime, popular anime, and they're just going at it, man. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in this game, and there's a couple characters I hope to see in this game. I hope we get Saitama, aka One Punch Man.
That'd be awesome.
And him and Genos, that would fucking be so raw.
Yes.
And you got to keep some of the OGs in there too, Yu Yu Hakusho, and stuff like that. So I definitely am looking forward to it, and probably will get it. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks amazing, man. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. It does. The art style is definitely something to behold.
It's on point.
Yeah, it's a cross between it's like anime slash. It's almost kind of like they wanted to be. It kind of wanted to be more on the human side in a sense, a
Yeah,
little
like a
bit, but
realistic
it's a
vibe.
mix. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
mix of it, but it's not over the top, but it's just enough. You know what I
You
mean?
know, and that's the kind of style that I guess I you could point to when I'm talking about like doing a Dragon Ball movie and that kind of style.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It
that
just
could
can't
work.
be. Yeah, it just can't be all the way. Like, you
Mm-mm.
know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't work for me, man.
Yeah, man. It you would have to sacrifice a lot of different things,
You
man.
definitely
I
would,
mean,
because it would
um,
shock the system. It would definitely shock the system.
yeah, but I do have a dream, dude. I have a dream to do a
I know you
Marvel
do.
Cinematic Universe Dragon Ball, and I think it could work maybe depending on like the era that we live in and like the different actors and actresses that we have available because. You know, it just would be cool. Only to do it. My only motivation really is just to redeem Dragon Ball fans and to make them forget about that Dragon Ball Evolution because that's what
Yeah,
we
man.
have. So, you know,
Yeah, it was probably crippled before it even came out the womb, man. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, with enough time would have to go by, and especially you got all this Dragon Ball stuff in the air right now. It doesn't. Like I said, man, the production would have to be on point, beyond on
yes,
point, for that to work, man. You would have to,
definitely.
yeah, it would, yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
Because it Because
I'm
you
not.
could almost do like a Dragon Ball main movie. Like Dragon Ball would be like the Avengers, but then you could also do like solo films. Like you could have like a Goku film, you could have
Yeah,
like a Piccolo film, you could have like these other arcs or other things happening, and then it all like connects into like this Dragon Ball film where you take on some of the like the popular
you're
sagas.
trying to use that Avengers recipe.
Yeah, exactly. You could mix that up real quick. And man, it's possible, man. It's
I
very
mean, hey, nothing's impossible, man. Especially with the
exactly.
technology and everything. But man,
Um,
it's gonna be. It's
it's
definitely
gonna.
gonna be. It's gonna be a chore.
Oh, definitely. It's gonna take a lot of things going right.
Yeah, I
Like,
think there's going to be a lot of scared directors, man, who's not going to want to
oh
take
yeah.
that challenge because of what happened before in the past. And if it bombs, I mean, it's going to be another meme. And in
Hmm.
today's society, man, it will definitely be a super meme because, when that one
Oh,
came
for
out, it
sure.
wasn't as, it wasn't as big, all of that stuff. But
Well,
now, man, I'm telling you.
I, I look at it like this, man. I kind of feel like that's how superhero movies were until finally they started. Somebody got it right, like Christopher Nolan in the Dark Knight series, right? When
Right.
those started coming out, then people started to look at superhero movies as not like this goofy, like you had all these the later Batman movies like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which were just kind of like, oh gosh, kind of like a little campy, a little jokey. And then you got
Yeah.
things like Green Lantern, stuff like that. Like there's been some flops, man.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, that's kind of what might happen with anime is that you're going to have these movies like Dragon Ball Evolution. You're going to have these attempts that are just not going to hit the mark, that are either going to try to imitate it too much or try to be too different. And then it's
Yeah.
just going to take someone getting one of these animes right where you can start to think and go, well, maybe if you applied that to this, it might work. But you're I think you had an awesome point when we kind of touched on it earlier where you're just going to have to like focus on an anime that doesn't really revolve around like too much it's not human, I guess, just to get everybody comfortable with like the concept. And I think that would be easier to translate. But with something like Dragon Ball, you could in a way, like especially if you're focusing on like Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Ball series, where it's not so filled with things like Frieza and Cell and Boo and all that.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say about that? Oh, well, let me go ahead and transition into this, man. Because there's a couple other things I want to go over in this episode before we cut loose. But you obviously like Super, right? Is
Yeah.
that like you like Super? Now you saw GT, right?
Oh
Have
my
you
God.
seen?
Yeah.
So this
I
is why I want to ask this. So before we get into like Super and Brawly, those two topics, how do you compare Super to GT now? Like having seen GT, are there a lot of things that you wish would have stayed true to like that GT storyline that was going?
No.
Or are you happy with like the direction that they're going with Super?
Yeah, I'm happy with Super, man. GT, I didn't even finish all of GT. Couldn't finish it all. I mean, I know what happened in the series and everything without watching it
Yeah,
all,
same here.
but it's no. There were a couple cool characters in there. I mean, I'm not, gonna just completely shit on it, but there were some couple ideas in there that were cool. But for the most part, man, I mean, you can put enough. There's only so much cologne you can put on Boo Boo, and it's still just gonna be Boo Boo with cologne.
Exactly.
And that's what GT was, in my opinion. Now there were some people who like it, but very few. But I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to hate on the GT lovers out there in these Dragon Ball streets, but just understand what I'm saying, man. It's not Super. Yeah, Super was better, way better. Now there were high points of Super and there were low points of Super, but Super is better, the better series. And I could go into this for days because Toriyama and Toei and those guys, there's no rhyme or reason to what they do. And as soon as, we accept that, I think we can get past all of the, canon stuff and move on. Mm-hmm. Because now when you ask me about Dragon Ball, I'll just simply tell you, I don't care. I just want it to be good. Just make it good. Because if you hang on every whim, these guys, you're gonna be perplexed because there's no canon. Canon does not exist in their minds. Okay. I don't know if they've drunk just way too much sake or smoked too many endo sticks, or I don't know what they're doing, but it's their shit. So they make the moves because, Gohan is non-existent right now, which is crazy. Some of these characters, I don't know what's going on, man. Broly never existed now, so there was never a Broly. Goku, being the baby and all this stuff, and how him and Broly came in contact. All of that stuff is just completely out the window. That age difference between Vegeta and Goku, that stuff is, that's supposed to be different, but apparently now with this movie, it's not. So there's so many things that if we hung on, this is supposed to make sense, and this we'd lose every time. So they don't care about canon. They're just trying to make something good, and as long as it's good, man, I will not complain.
Yeah. So, and I guess I'll take this moment to shout out Melzy. He basically asked that question on that Twitter post where asking about the canon, especially when it refers to Bardock, father Goku, and just the origins of what happened with Brawly and Vegeta and Goku and how that all worked out.
They're taking a lot of shit from Dragon Ball Minus is what they're doing.
Did you ever see Bardock, father of Goku?
Yeah, I've seen all of Dragon Ball, everything. Dragon Ball, man.
Nice. Yeah, because did you like? I really liked.
Yeah,
that.
I did. Yeah, it was great. I liked it a lot. I liked Bardock a lot. Bardock was. Me too. Yeah, I'm not a Goku guy, but
true.
If I had to pick one that had his face, it'd be Bardock.
It'd be Bardock.
Because
he was a badass. Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't play around.
Exactly. He was the Goku that I would want.
And it was just that cool when he started to see the future. That was kind of a weird twist where he's like, "All right, Bardock, you've gone around and the Saiyans have blown up and destroyed so many planets and stuff, right? Yeah. So you're gonna see how your world goes." And he starts seeing Goku when he's grown up and he's about to fight Frieza, and that's kind of a cool thing where it's Bardock's my son's gonna bring this villain down. It may not be me, and there's going to be a lot of sacrifices along the way, but hey, at least I know that eventually this will all come around. And because a lot of people forget that Frieza's whole arc, I guess, started from the get-go, from Goku being born to now what we see with their relationship and where they stand with each other now, especially in Super, because we get to see them work together and stuff. That's why I think we had the discussion on the phone a little bit a couple days ago when we were talking about, Goku basically takes these villains and turns them into buddies. You got Piccolo, you got Yamcha and Tien at one point. They they weren't really villains, but they weren't buddies or friends. They were
fucking villains.
Yeah. They were. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Yamcha was a pirate. Jacking motherfuckers. I mean, Tien Shinhan was a fucking trained assassin.
Yeah,
being
that's
trained
right.
to kill people, because that's what the Crane School is about. And everybody he fucking met, you pretty much were savages, man, for the most part. We're on their way to becoming that. And he kills you with kindness. He basically, he's so
Hmm.
dumb that, you end up taking pity on him. And because that's all he's very simple, man. And that's part of the appeal, about him.
That's true.
So he breaks his way into your heart slowly but surely. And it just is hard to just not, fall into that. And I think that's his real superpower. Not the fact
Yeah.
that he's stronger than everybody, not the fact that he's, none of that. I think that's his real power.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, like you see it with I mean, I know that like Frieza and Goku working together in Super doesn't really mean that like Frieza's like changed his ways. And I know there's going to be some things in the Broly movie that we're going to see in January that are going to kind of like dive more into that. But I almost like can't see like when you remember that Frieza blew up that planet and all the things that Frieza's done,
Mm-hmm.
you almost get to a point where you're like, well, where's the point of like no return? Like, where do you like go and you don't really get a redemption? Like Vegeta, like you see him come into planet Earth, him and Nappa, they fight. Sure, he wanted to kill them, and he was kind of a bad guy, but you never really saw him really show like a lot of like evil tendencies, right? You just felt like this
Right.
dude was kind of like, maybe
Well,
kind of
wait,
an
wait, wait.
asshole,
You're talking about Vegeta?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Oh
like,
no,
because like Vegeta's like a good guy, and like but he didn't come into the story like that,
Vegeta. Yeah,
but he
Vegeta.
didn't really do anything that really was like, oh, that dude can never be a good
Oh
guy.
no, he came close, man. I mean, technically, he did in a sense. He's killed kids. He's killed
Oh, that's
whole
true.
villages. He's laid down villages, bro. Like in Namek, when he went to Namek, he
Oh,
fucking
that's
he
right.
killed a lot of motherfuckers, man. And
Yeah, I forgot
but
about that.
yeah, he did. But he didn't cross that one fucking line. Like Frieza was not going. I mean, yeah, he's not on Frieza's level.
No, not even close. I don't think.
No,
And
he's
like,
not on Frieza's level, man. Frieza's
it's
sick.
yeah.
He's
So now it's
sadistic.
just kind of like weird seeing Frieza. Like, that was the big twist. Like, were
But
you?
see, yeah, there's there's some spoilers, man, and Frieza's Frieza, bro. I'm just gonna tell you that
Yeah,
Frieza's Frieza. Okay, he's a cold blooded motherfucker. Okay,
yeah.
and that's just what he is. And
Right.
and that's why this movie, I just can't wait, because I can't wait for everything. I can't wait to see this movie multiple times. Buy it on Blu-ray. I can't wait for the
Same.
fucking merch. There's gonna be shitload of merch. Definitely got to have a poster. Definitely got to see what kind of figures they're gonna be kicking out of here. I'm really anxious to see how Brawly's gonna be, because I really want to like Brawly. I really do, but I just couldn't get behind the Brawly train. This
Back
current
in the
Brawly
day.
train, because he doesn't have any layers. I need my characters. I need to, know a little bit more. They need to be just more than what this Brawly was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Part of the reason why Naruto was so good is because every character had layers. Every one of them, even the fucker that was painting the old man painting the fence, man, that motherfucker had a backstory. I'm telling you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
writing just definitely. So they said I mean, I already like how he looks. The new look is awesome. And they said he's really going to be really sympathetic. So you're going to be able to relate to this guy. And that's what I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see how relatable he's going to be. And, if that's true, then I might be a brand new Brawley fan.
Yeah.
So,
And I gotta shout out Mousy one more time. He did want to. He did bring up like, do you like Brawley's new design and story? And I like his design. I've had some friends that say
yeah,
they don't like that purple on him and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't know, man. I
I
actually
like
kind of
it.
dig
I
it.
like it, man. Yeah,
That's just
I dig
me.
it.
I guess you do. You like it too. You
Yeah,
like the whole look now.
I dig it. Yeah, I do.
Man, because what were your thoughts on the original Brawley movies and stuff? Did you like those?
Yeah, I liked the first Brawley movie.
Me too.
I,
First
I
one was
didn't.
good.
The other one was just mediocre at best. But the first one was pretty good. That's why it's kind of hard to see that these never exist, because Toriyama wants us to believe that pretty much none of the movies, and technically they're not, none of the movies are really canon.
True.
You know what I mean? So I guess Vegeta and them not knowing Broly when this movie comes out is kind of okay. But it was good. The first one was pretty good, but if you know Dragon Ball movies, you know that the majority of Dragon Ball movies were only like really 45 minutes long.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
you know what I mean? It wasn't a full-length feature film, and now they're finally decided to get behind that train, because Resurrection of F was finally, I think, their first one that went like 90 minutes or so, something like that. So I was happy for that. And everybody else was doing it. Naruto movies and other anime movies, they were actually full movies. So but that Broly movie was dope. The first one, I liked it. I just didn't like the character, and I didn't like the the premise of the story. I didn't like the reason behind, the madness. I didn't like the fact that because they were babies and he was crying as a baby, that's the whole reason why
stupid.
he had this. Yeah, when I look at that in hindsight, man, I'm like, really? But
that was a little kind of
right, but
underwhelming and disappointing.
Exactly, but they can redeem themselves now with this one, and I think listening to everybody in these anime streets and listening to even the people who participated in the making of this film, the engineers and everybody's talking about it, everybody has said that everybody's mind is going to be blown with this movie, and they said that the majority of the story is going to be told with fighting. A lot of the story.
Oh my gosh.
So,
can you imagine, man? Can you imagine? Because like from the trailers and everything, like the effects, the visuals, everything looks.
I can't. And Vegeta's one of my favorite. Like I have two of my three favorite characters in this fucking movie. Vegeta, Tien Shinhan, who's not going to be in this movie, but and Frieza though. Vegeta and Frieza are like two of the three of my favorite characters. So I just love that Frieza's have this resurgence, man, of what's going on, and rightfully so, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who are upset about that because they're like, man, it's overkill with Frieza. But Frieza, in my opinion, is the greatest villain in anime. Now, I'm sure there's some great ones. I know there are some great ones, but he's just so fucking iconic, man. I mean, and I think that's why he's being included in stuff. He is. If it wasn't for Frieza's the one who started the Super Saiyan fucking thing. If it wasn't for Frieza, man, doing what he did to Krillin, man, who knows when, these Super Saiyans would be here. He motivated, but he made Goku turn, and then that in turn motivated Vegeta to turn, to go harder and become it. And then it set a fucking trend. So yeah, I'm anxious. I'm anxious to see Vegeta's Super Saiyan God form, his red hair and stuff. I love, I got a shitload of Vegeta stuff here.
Dude, because I my friend was the one that really liked Vegeta, which it kind of just worked out that way. Like, I liked Goku, they liked Vegeta, but I like Vegeta as well. Like, I can see the appeal of Vegeta.
Yeah.
But, like, it always comes out to, like, if I had to give one over the other, it would probably be Goku. But,
Goku's
that's just
dope,
me.
though, in his own way.
But, like, I was going to ask you about that since we're just on the topic real quick. Were you surprised in Super with Frieza and stuff like that? Was that kind of like, oh, we're gonna do that, okay? Or was it? Man. Or were you just kind of like, oh, well, of course you should bring Frieza into this. Like, if we're gonna pick like the strongest fighters, bring him in.
I got caught off guard. I didn't think he was gonna have the role he had. No, I didn't expect it. Was I happy? Fuck yeah, but I didn't realize it. But at least that's one thing I feel that Toriyama got right as far as some of his character development, because, when Resurrection of F came out, I thought that was it.
True.
And I left watching that movie thinking that, God, you know how cold Frieza could really be if he fucking tapped into that golden form? Because he was born with those powers. He never trained in his life. And after 4 months of training, that's what he attained. He was able to attain a golden form after 4 months of training. So imagine if he trained more and he had more time to even, figure out how his body works in that form. Because that's why he lost, because he didn't have time. He attained that form, but he didn't have time to figure out how it worked. And that's how he lost. Same kind of thing when Vegeta and then those guys went to the next level. They were still trying to figure out the Super Saiyan form. But they weren't able to master it yet, and that's what happened to Frieza. So with Frieza learning these things, I felt he could definitely be somebody to you don't want to fuck with.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I was really excited to see what Boo could do, just because Boo got like super ripped, and you're like, oh shit, Boo.
Man, that shit was dope. I thought that was dope, man.
But then when it just like he deflated back, he's like, I can't do this, man. I'm sorry. It's like, oh god. Okay,
there's so many Boo fans out here, man. Shout out to all the Boo fans, man. Exactly. I know a few of them. I know a few of them. He's a cool motherfucker, man, for real.
I thought it was cool that that's how they took the Frieza thing, where they're like, yeah, Frieza never really had to train. So what happens when Frieza trains? I was like, damn, that's a good point. Let's see. And then we get Golden Frieza, and I was like, all right, I like this. Yeah. I like this a lot. But then I also like, I'm on the fence about it, man, to be honest, because you got Frieza on Namek, and then you got Frieza comes back, Trunks slice, you know, so you got like a cyborg Frieza, and then we go into all this. So on one hand, I was kind of like, all right, yeah, is it because you don't know what to do with certain characters now that you're just like, yo, Frieza's, not that Frieza's easy to bring into, but like, you know,
he's
Frieza's been around since,
he's the Joker. He's the Joker of the series. To go to the bat. If Goku was Batman, he's Joker.
That's a really good point. I never even looked at it like that, man. But now that you say it,
I mean, he's responsible for the whole Super Saiyan trend and everything going on. If it wasn't for him being so cold hearted and doing the things that he did, he killed fucking Dende. He fucking killed Krillin. You know what I mean? You know, a child Namekian, a Namekian child. I mean, he didn't give two fucks.
Nope.
And you know, and you smiled about it. And then he killed Vegeta too, shot him straight through the fucking heart.
Damn,
I mean,
right.
he loved Vegeta. That was so what a lot of people don't understand. Vegeta's one of the only people that Frieza loved, and he did that to him. He raised Frieza. I mean, he raised Vegeta, man. I mean, after he took Vegeta from his father, and raised him. And if you notice throughout the series, especially in, you know, the Frieza saga, you know, Vegeta had a rival named Kui, and you know, he could fight. He was pretty strong at the time, but if you notice their rift between those two, that Frieza always took Vegeta's side, even when he was betrayed by Vegeta. He gave him chance after chance to come back and just say, look, I'll forget everything if you just come back willingly. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't look at it through that lens. He loved fucking Vegeta, man, in his own sick way.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, now that you put it like that and you add that to that makes it so different. Really, when you start to think of like that dynamic that they had, because in a way, I mean, Vegeta hated Frieza.
Yeah.
Like, because Frieza blew up his home world, you know, basically killed his father, killed everything, you know, and just was almost enslaved him. It's like, you're going to work for me now, dude. So, like, you either, fall in line or what? You know, you want to be like that?
Much colder. Yeah. He made him that much colder. And, you know, it's deep if you look at it through a certain way. If you look at it in a certain way, man, it definitely is. But that was his baby boy, man. I mean, it's fucked up as it sounds, but it was. Yeah. And he gave him all, you know, the benefits that, you know, for basically Vegeta could do anything to anybody, and Frieza would always take his side no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was the only person that he could do that. Vegeta was the only person that could do that shit. Nobody else.
Now, is it fair to say that also comes from Frieza being intimidated and worried about Saiyans, like kind of outpowering Frieza and like overthrowing Frieza? So like to have a Saiyan, you know, that's on his side kind of keeps him in check. It's like, all right, keep your friends close, but your enemy is closer, you know? So
he really wanted Vegeta. He wanted Vegeta. That's why he got rid of everybody else. In his mind, he did not see, no matter how strong Vegeta got, he did not see Vegeta, you know, beating him. I mean, ever. You know what I mean? That was, you know, that was his way of thinking.
Let me ask you two more things, man. And then I think we'll wrap this up because we're almost at like we're just passing the 140 mark. But, I guess since we were talking about the Brawley movie and everything, we're both obviously excited about that. And we were talking about, well, you pointed out how the other ones were not canon. But then we have things like Resurrection F, Battle of the Gods, and now Brawley, where they do those movies and they're awesome, but then the show kind of does an episodic version of it. Do you like that trend, or do you wish that they almost had like on its own, but it was canon? Like, do you think that's them making up for like the other films just being like not canon, and you just got to plug them in the timeline? It's almost safer to go, all right, we're gonna make an awesome movie, but that's like where you're gonna pick up on Super. So like when we see Super again, when it comes back, it's gonna start with this Brawley line, like story, right? Or do you like that kind of trend, or do you kind of wish that they had
You
like
know what?
separate movies?
I kind of like it. It really, if they did it that way, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Or if they
Yeah,
just went straight after, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. And the reason why is because if they did it like they have been doing it, where they'll fucking break down the movie into a actual saga, into like a season.
yeah,
If they do it like that, it's always different.
true. That's a good
Different
point.
people, yeah. I mean, it was a lot of major differences, in the movie. How certain characters died and stuff like that. I was like, yo, okay. It would made it really good. But if you ask me, because it depends on how the writing is. Because if you do it and pace it like I think they would pace it, you get more depth and more detail into what was transpiring
Yeah, that's a good point.
in the movie. You know what I mean? Kind of like Berserk, how Berserk did it too. Berserk did the same thing. You had that season where I think it was like 24, 25 episodes, and then they broke it down to 3 movies.
Yeah,
But if
see,
you
I watched the
watched
3 movies. That's how I
right
got
now,
that.
if you,
Yeah,
I have the 3 movies, but I also have the actual season that basically took those 3 movies and kind of spread them out over 24 episodes. And I liked both of them because you got more detail behind the characters and relationships, and you got to see certain things, other things happen in more detail or whatever. Because you can only put so much in a movie.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I like it both. As a fan of the series, I would actually not be opposed to it at all.
I feel you. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess like because growing up, like those movies were like, oh, I need to get that. Like History of Trunks is one of my favorites.
Right.
Right there with like Bardock, Father Goku, and then we got the
Yeah.
Brawley and some of these other movies that came out. They weren't canon, but then when like I think I was caught off guard when I watched like Resurrection F, or one of those where I was like, oh shit, they're gonna do this and do it like in the episodes of the Super. I was kind of like, well, I guess like I can watch it or I don't have to because I already know what's
Right.
gonna happen. So I was
Right.
kind of faced with that dilemma. But then again, like you said, it gives them the opportunity to like dive into it a little bit deeper, even like take time to look at other characters and go, well, you saw the movie, but
Exactly.
we're going to give you a chance to see what was going on over here and
Exactly.
kind of like move around a little bit.
It
You're gonna
works. It gives them a chance. It's like because if you're familiar with the animation, industry, it kind of helps them out too, and that's another reason why they do it a lot of the time. Because if you don't, people don't know who are listening right now. Those are those animation studios. They're fucking like they're fucking sweatshops. Okay, you have a room full of workers who fucking usually work 10 to 12-hour days, 6 days a week. It's a lot of work to fucking draw these animations, all this shit. It's lots and lots and lots of work. 30 frames, so many frames, per second. Think about how many pages that is. You got 30 pieces of drawings for 1 second of work. You know what I'm saying, of screen time. That's a lot of fucking work. So they have to outsource most of the time. Also, they outsource, so they hire all these other animators who aren't even familiar with drawing and Dragon Ball stuff. And that's when you get, discrepancies in what, on one scene they look crisp and on another scene they look kind of like, who's drawing this? Like, what's going on? I mean, that, you know what I mean? So if you're
Yeah.
not familiar with the industry, then that's another reason, because it gives them time. They want to stay ahead of the game. So what they do with these series is what it gives them time to kind of use certain parts and portions from the movie. And then, so they don't have to draw everything. So that buys them a little time. And then they can get ready on the new stuff, because they're working on some of the new stuff as well going forward. So that just gives them a cushion, time-wise, so
Yeah.
that they can kind of not be behind. Because sometimes, have you ever been watching Super and then you're like, okay, where's next week's episode? Oh, it's been canceled and it's not coming until the week after. You know what I mean? And that's usually because they fell behind somewhere in the schedule. And they didn't have everything done in time, so they had to buy themselves some more time. And that's usually what happens when when there's a episode that's supposed to be there and it doesn't happen. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, man. Like, really, they just don't. And it's good that you let them know that, because people get a little impatient with things, and then you fail to realize, like, man, hey, I know you enjoy this, but there's a lot of hard work going on. Man, there's a lot of, like, endless sleepless nights grinding these out. I mean, they love these characters, they love these stories, but man, it's not like it just like sit down, ha 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 ha. No, sir, having a good old time. No, man, it's hard work. I'm gonna give
everybody an assignment to do who's listening to this podcast when you hear it. Even you, bro. If you to really go look up Dragon Ball Super episode 122.
122.
And 122. That is my favorite Dragon Ball episode in Dragon Ball Super. And the reason why it is because they had the perfect storm. They had the best animators come together on that episode. And before the episode came out, it took 2 weeks for that episode. So there was an episode of 121, and then there was 122 was supposed to come the next week, but it didn't. And then it took 2 weeks. So on the second week, this one came out because they needed time to perfect this episode. This episode was fucking damn near flawless. When you look at the art style, the artwork, everything done on this, and take that episode and pretty much imagine them doing that same shit with this movie, but the whole movie of this new Dragon Ball movie. And this is what we're in for. Though the episode 122, no other episode has ever came close in Dragon Ball Super as far as the perfect storm, the perfect writing, the choreography of the fighting, the drawing, everything came perfectly. That's my opinion.
What was happening in that episode? Like,
that's the episode when everybody started to really go in on each other. That's when Jiren and his clique, the Team Justice and all of those guys, they got together. And even just before the battle, it was like the calm before the storm. Everybody was standing there kind of looking at each other. The wind was blowing. Everybody's clothes was just flapping in the wind as they were standing there. It was, man. I'm telling you. And at the end of the episode, that was when Vegeta first came into his own, when he first started to awaken his god form, his blue god form. That's when he first started to awaken his shit. He saw glimpses of it, and he could actually see Jiren's punches. He was like, oh shit, I finally see how to get past these. And yeah, man, the whole thing was dope.
Dude, you got me hyped, man. I'm gonna go check it out, like probably either right after we get done recording while I'm editing stuff tonight, or before the end of this weekend, dude. Yeah, man, I'll check it out, man. And that's like you said, it's a perfect storm. It's like everything just worked out where everything happened at the same time, where you don't get that every week, and it's not really their choice. It's not really their fault. It's just like, hey, man,
it's time constraints, man. Yeah, you're not. You gotta have like I said, they're gonna outsource. There's no way they can keep everything in house, man.
Nope.
With these episodes, unless they just get a big head start. Now, they're not typically known for that. Now I don't know what they're doing. This movie's done. I mean, the Dragon Ball movie's done. I mean, I think there's already been a showing of it. Oh, there will be in the next day or so. If the first showing of it, so it's done. For the most part, it's finished. So now I'm only guessing and hoping that they're working on Super now, or they got something up their sleeve, because I mean we're going to see something in 2019. Now, when hopefully the first quarter, we shall see. But I'm anxious, man, and all this movie's going to do is get everybody excited.
Yo, dude, definitely, man. I've already been hyped. I mean, I remember when they released the teaser and you didn't even know that Brawley was going to be into it. I was like, dude, sign me up. Tell me when. Here's my money. Take it.
Yeah, take my money.
I'm ready.
Straight up.
Dude, there's so much I still want to talk about, but I think that it'd probably be best to save for some other episodes. But
yeah, man, 2 hours, goddamn.
Ooh, yeah, we're at basically at the 2 hour mark. Let me just ask you, with your podcast, so with like the movie coming out here in like January, I think it's January 16th.
Yeah,
it's going to be in theaters. How are you going to be able to like avoid spoilers, or is that something you're just going to have to suck up and deal with?
Yeah, I already know a lot already.
Dude.
I already know, but Dragon, it doesn't spoil me, man.
Okay,
because there's still, the way I look at it, it doesn't spoil me. I'm just happy that there's going to be some people that aren't going to be happy with a few things in
Oh,
here.
you already know.
But it's somebody like me, I'm gonna be over the top, man, because Vegeta, it's gonna be some great things going down.
Dude, I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait.
I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be real.
Well, man, let me see. Is there anything else that you do want to bring up or anything on this episode? Because, I mean, I'm telling you, like, based off of, like, our discussions over the week and this episode right here, that I really, really hope that we get a chance to talk some more and do some more episodes in the future, especially with things like this movie coming out, Jump Force,
no fucking
and
doubt.
really like anything video game and anime related. Because I was gonna title this episode like something Dragon Ball, but I think I'm just gonna call it Studio MacGyver because we just really went through like everything that I know that you are passionate about, and I know that I'm passionate about as far as it pertains to Dragon Ball and video games and anime and stuff. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to do something like this in the future because, man, like as we're talking, I'm looking at what I wrote down, but then I'm also thinking to myself like, damn, now I want to ask you this, or let me get your opinion on that. Let me pick your brain about that. So like, I know we got to do it. We got to do some stuff later.
But we're both trying to do the same thing. Reach out to other podcasters that like the same things that we do, and try to develop a rapport and. Build up a nice relationship, man, moving forward, so we can talk on future shows. And I think that's what we do, man. When we talked on the phone, we talked for about 2 hours. So
right.
That's saying something in itself right there. And I look forward to many more podcasts, bro, with you. So I think definitely enjoyed it a lot.
Well, I guess what I'll do, or what we could do, is just I'll give you the floor to plug your podcast. Like, when's it usually come out? What are your plans for the remainder of the year? How can people contact you and all that? And then I'll do that, and then we could probably wrap it up.
Cool, man. If you guys want to get a hold of me, it's pretty simple. You can get me on Twitter at Studio MacGyver. I'm also available on Instagram at Studio MacGyver79. I also have a Facebook page for the podcast is at Studio MacGyver as well. If you like anime and gaming merch, I'm sure most of you guys listening probably do, then you probably want to check out this website. It's www.beautifulnerds.com. Nerds is spelled Nurdz. You can get hats, you can get beanies, you can get sweatshirts, hoodies, backpacks, mugs, all this type of stuff, man, if you are into that kind of thing. And last but not least, guys, check out the YouTube channel, Studio MacGyver TV. I got, gameplay footage. I have discussions about video games and anime on there. And also, you can catch my podcast on there as well, Studio MacGyver's Dragon Ball and Video Game Podcast. So I talk about games and anime, man, for the most part, bro. So nerd culture, if you will. If you like those things, man, then you should check me out.
Dude, man, that sounds perfect, man. I mean, I really, really hope that people check out your stuff, because when I found out that we were gonna actually do this, like, I started sending stuff off to my friends. So I was like, dude, you guys gotta check this out. You gotta check this out, and really man. Trying to spread the word on your stuff, because, man, if anybody who's listening to this episode enjoyed what we talked about. Look, when you check out his podcast, man, you get like this times 10. It's just really, really cool, man. I love what you do, man. I really appreciate you working with me and working this out so we could do this. And I will be sure to put the links to your YouTube, your podcast, and to Beautiful Nerds in the description of this episode, just so everybody who wants to check those things out, which they should, it's so easy. Just go to the description and check it out. But I guess like what I'll do real quick is just say that, I've been trying to do 2 episodes a week with WNDRSOUL. Tuesday and Thursday seems to be like a nice time frame for release and record. We're doing this one a little bit late on a Thursday night, but hey, man, it's all good. It's how it works out, and I wouldn't have it really any other way, because I like we're both night owls, so this worked out perfect.
Yeah.
But been doing stuff on the YouTube. It's really just the podcast episodes. You can look all that up through WNDRSOUL, which is WNDRSOUL, and also have a Twitch account where we've been just playing some games, and hopefully going to be playing some Dragon Ball Fighter through the weekend on Twitch. It's at Wonder Gaming, which is WNDR_gaming. And yeah, pretty much just there's a mixed bag of variety here. We got a lot of geeky, nerdy topics, but we also have some like kind of deep, maybe some philosophical, just different stuff here and there, and just trying to keep everything, wide ranged and just open for really anything. But it really all boils down to like passions and interests, and stuff like anime, video games, Dragon Ball. It's definitely something like that I've enjoyed my whole life, and to just connect and meet with someone like Studio MacGyver, man, it's awesome to just talk to you. It's almost kind of weird, because I've been listening to your stuff, but then to actually have a conversation with you is really out of this world, man. And it's just I'm just so happy that you agreed to do this, man. And I hope nothing but success for everything you do, because we've talked on the phone about different plans for the future of both of the things that we're working on, and it's so exciting to hear the things that you got planned, man. And I cannot wait to do this again, dude.
Yeah, me too, man. It will happen again, so don't worry about that. I really feel like we got something here, and take it to that next level. So if you guys are listening to this on my podcast, hey, you probably want to get ready for WNDRSOUL being a guest, a regular on my show, man. At least once a month, man. I'm going to try to do something like that. It'd be dope.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to work it out. But hey, guys, I guess we're going to wrap it up. We've gone on for like 2 hours. So if you made it to this point, shout out to you. Really appreciate your guys' support. If you're listening to this, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I had a good time. I think you had a good time just nerding out about all these things, because it is what we really love to do, and it's just awesome to connect with people who share those passions. So with all that being said, I guess we'll wrap it up here, and I guess until next time, we hope you guys do good and take care.
See you next time.
Dragon Ball is all I do, all I wanna see when I'm at home. I watch some Dragon Ball. Will you watch some Dragon Ball with me tonight? If you don't like Dragon Ball, you can kick rocks, 'cause I don't need you in my life, girl. If you don't like Dragon Ball, no, I love Dragon Ball so much, it makes me feel so good inside. I'ma hit this freestyle tonight on that Dragon Ball. To all of my Dragon Ball fans, I love you so much. We all have that thing in common. So when we watch Dragon Ball, we all love some Dragon Ball.